All right.
Are there things you should avoid from a food perspective, food or drink, that would suppress your immune system, or is it about everything in moderation?
Yeah, I think it's about looking at the diet pattern in that context and saying, okay, if you've got a really healthy diet pattern, lots of different plants across the week. And I think it's really important to emphasize that when we say plants, we don't just mean fruit and vegetables,
Yeah.
but it's also the nuts and seeds, the herbs and spices, the beans and pulses, the whole grains. So the sort of whole diversity of plants. And we can talk a bit more about what other things are in those plants that are so important for our immune system. But I think it's really, then if you do, go out and have some awful meal in the context of a healthy diet, it's not going to have such a big impact. One of the biggest things I would say that I know in the UK we're just not getting enough of is dietary fibre.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons we need to eat this diversity of plants, because a lot of your immune system is in the digestive system. So that track from your mouth all the way to the other end, there's about 80% of your immune cells are currently sitting there. And so they're really up close and personal to what's going on in your digestive tract. And we harbour about 2 kilograms, I think, roughly, of microbes in our gut.
Oh my goodness. Some of these stats you're sharing, I mean,
it's hard to comprehend.
I know.
Isn't it? So there's these trillions of microbes in our guts, and they're constantly interacting with our immune cells there. And this gut immune crosstalk is really important for that overall immune regulation, making sure they function correctly. And it doesn't just stay in the gut. So we know that these immune cells will then travel to other parts of the body and pass on those benefits. And those gut microbes need to be fed the right things. So they like plants. They break down the fibre for us. In fact, our digestive systems are not that good at breaking down fibre. So we just don't have the capabilities to break it down. So we outsource that to our gut bugs, and they do that heavy lifting for us. And when they break down fibre, they produce all their metabolic waste products, which is kind of like our own personalised pharmacy, because we benefit from all of these amazing compounds that they produce when they break down fibre, and they benefit our immune system. So I think in the UK, we don't even meet half of the fibre recommendations. So that's like a really big one, I think, as a nation that we need to work on. We really need to be increasing the fibre to support those gut microbes, which are then going to support our immune system.
Gosh. I mean, at Holland and Barrett, we talk about eating more plants all the time. It's our mission when we get up in the morning. So how can we help people and make it easy for them to eat more plants? And now I'm really starting to understand the intricacies of why. Right at the beginning, you mentioned sort of going into the into winter and the cold and flu season. This podcast is going to be airing just as we're heading into that period. Is all of the advice exactly the same, or is there anything that we should be thinking about, any top tips we should be thinking about going into the cold and flu season that would help keep us from being poorly?
Yeah, well, that's a really good point, because it's around this time that people might start thinking a little bit more about their immune system. And we do know that a lot of these viruses, particularly the ones that cause coughs and colds, they prefer the cooler climate, so they are more prevalent around this time of year. I would really emphasize that taking care of your immune system is a 365-day-a-year job. It's looking after you all the time, so we need to be looking after it. And like you say, all those plant points are going to be really important. Getting that lovely, colourful rainbow diet as well is going to be really important. But going into winter, I always like to think, okay, there's maybe a few little plugins that we want to make sure we take care of, because we have this additional challenge. The big one is vitamin D. So we are solar powered creatures. We make vitamin D from the sun, primarily when our skin is exposed to the sun. But as we get into October, that sun that we get here in the UK just isn't strong enough for our skin to make that reaction. Plus, most of us are going out with layers on as it gets colder. The daylight hours are shorter, so we have less time to get outside if you're working and that sort of thing. And we know that then taking a vitamin D supplement can be really, really important. This is recommended by Public Health England and the NHS. But it's amazing that I think whenever I've researched this area, I think it's something like 4 out of 5 Brits are either unaware of the public health guidelines or don't take a regular supplement. And it has to be regular. It's like every morning when you boil the kettle, put the your supplement there, so you remember to take it when you're having breakfast, because we know that you can't sort of miss a week and then triple the dose. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, exactly. So that's the one thing I would definitely say. If you've not gone out and bought your winter supply of vitamin D already, now is the time to do it. And I remember one year that I'd ran out around December, and then it was busy with work and kids over that Christmas period. And I did a test in January and my levels were rock bottom.
Oh my goodness.
So it's really, really important because I think by the time you get to January, February, if you haven't been supplementing, your vitamin D is really likely to be low.
It's actually the one whenever I talk to experts, I always ask them this question. And vitamin D is the one that consistently everybody says that we should all be taking, and it's relevant to everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so brilliant tips there in terms of sort of trying to prevent getting a cold or flu, but inevitably some people will.
Yeah.
You just can't avoid it. So is there anything you can recommend or any tips you can give that would help people get better more quickly, or again come back to the immune system, anything linked to that?
Definitely. I would say my first tip, people might not be expecting this, but my first tip is to rest and recover, because I think we just don't
not
do
very
that.
Good at that, are we?
Our immune system is really energy intensive, which means when it's turned on and it's fighting off an infection, our body will sort of triage energy away from other parts of our body towards our immune system, giving it all the fuel and nutrients it needs to do its job. And then we decide that we're still going to go to work, we're still going to go to the gym or that social night out or the Christmas party, and not having that moment to stop and lie on the sofa and have a day where you do nothing to recover. And I think that's definitely lost in our culture, so I'm sort of championing to bring that back. So
it's a myth then. You hear some people say go for a workout because you can sweat out the cold. So that is a myth, because we're all about debunking myths on this program.
Yes, that's a big myth. And also remember, nobody wants your germs. So if you've got a cold, you're getting on the tube, you're passing them on to people, you're going into the office or the gym or whatever it is, spreading that around. And I think one day off to rest can save you several days off further down the line. And I had direct experience of that, because not long after I went back to work after having my kids, I got a cold. We all got a cold. Kids were in nursery, the germs come home. And I didn't stop. I just carried on as normal. And then I woke up a few weeks later with pneumonia.
Oh my goodness.
Because that new mum thing back at work, all the pressure you put on yourself. And so I learned the hard way. And, my husband got the same cold. He recovered. The kids recovered. It was just because I didn't stop. And it's really, really important that's the first thing we do, because without the rest, all the other things we throw into the mix are not really going to have a chance. So once you've got unwell, the next thing I would do, take the time to rest and recover. Really try and nourish yourself with some really delicious food. Hot soups with all that lovely veg inside, like something you might have got from your mother when you were little. But the steam can really be quite soothing to help loosen the mucus, soothe any sore throats. And if you don't have much of an appetite, it's maybe something more pleasant to eat. I always keep my little medicine box. So things like vitamin C and zinc are really good for when you do fall sick. There's some evidence, especially people who are really busy and have stressful lives, that can shorten the duration, because as soon as our immune system starts fighting a virus, we need way more vitamin C and zinc than normal. So we're just allowing our body to have that extra need fulfilled with a supplement. It's not something you necessarily need to take all the time, and it's not one that you need to take going into winter thinking it'll make you invincible. It won't. It just might help you on your way to recovery.
Yeah.
And then for that, I think there's a lot of wisdom in plants that we've kind of lost, and there's lots of evidence for things like echinacea. It varies depending on the preparation and which part of the plant it's taken from. And then the elderberry, this was a classic kind of historical treatment for respiratory infections because it grows just in autumn. People would pick the berries, make their own syrup, and it does have certain plant phytonutrients with antiviral properties. But again, we're not looking for an effect like if you go into the pharmacy and take, some things to make you feel better. It is just all kind of those little things that are nurturing your immune system. And also I would say, if you go into the pharmacy, they'll give you things to make you feel better temporarily, but they may also be stopping your immune system from fighting it off. So you can go to work and function as normal, but you might be ill for longer. So that one day off on the sofa to recover might actually be better than trying to carry on as normal.